UncleThor here. We live in a time when we're facing situations that no human has ever encountered before. Many of these are physical things like technology. It's only about 210 years since we've had the technology to exceed nature. The steam engine, which pulls more and goes faster than nature, was the first. And now we're talking speed of light communications, fast flights across the country, space travel. We've come a very long way in a short time, especially when compared to the breadth of human experience. But there's also the psychological and mental side of this. Things happening faster and changes in society and attitudes. And one of the things we're facing now is the constant bombardment of advertising. 150 years ago, people advertised, but it was not constant. It was in the newspapers that you read. Maybe there would be billboards or signs. Sometimes boxcars were painted to advertise, the wares of their owner. But it wasn't constant. It was occasional. Now, today, with the internet, it's constant. Now, I grew up at a time before internet, when what we had was black and white TV, landline telephones, snail mail. Packages could take over a week, express packages to the other coast, because most stuff went by train. Airmail was extremely expensive at that time. So it was a very different time. There were no video games. There were no cell phones or portable telephones. You have to be kidding. You had to find a payphone if you were out. And we survived that. The first big innovations to come, well, there was color TV, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But then the answering machine and the beeper, and then more things to come. And now we have this technology where we have it on our cell phones. We have it on our computers. The internet is right there. And with it comes something that we never considered before, and that is the constant bombardment by advertisers. Some very blatant, some very subtle, to make you want the things they want to sell. Or in a case of something like eBay, to just make you want to buy things and have things. That keeps their business going. So we're constantly under this bombardment. And the idea is they're trying to make us think that things we really don't need are things we really do need. That's half the trick. But if you look at a lot of the things they're selling, do we really need them? I mean, I've lived without these gadgets. And back in the mid-'80s, I ran into some difficulties. And basically, my financial status in life was reduced to lowest common denominator. And it was a lesson to me, a repeat of a lesson of what you don't need in order not only to survive, but to be happy and to be well and to get things done. And I didn't have the television set. I had a little radio. I didn't have a lot of the comforts with me for a while there, but I did have what I needed. And some of the things I wanted, the things that really mattered to me, and got through it. And I realize now from then, and since then, I've realized that many of the things that they're advertising to us really aren't necessities. From having gotten that second lesson in what really is necessary, it put it in perspective for me. But the bombardment is constant. We get it on television. We get it in our other forms of entertainment. We get it on the internet. We get it in our cell phones. Many cell phone systems, you open, there's ads popping up at you. You're looking at the thing like this, a dozen ads, and you have to sort of wiggle through them to get to what you want to do. Almost all these apps come with some advertising. And when they say something's free, very often free only if you allow their advertisers to have unlimited access to you. How many times you open a web page to want to see something, you got to wait and wait because all the ads pop up. I use an ad blocker, by the way, but that doesn't always help because it's just pervasive and in your face. So what do you do about it? Well, take a look at what really is necessary in your life. If your life were reduced to lowest common denominator today, what would you need? Well, first of all, you'd need a source of food, and that's pretty easy to get. You know, if you're really poor, if you're really down and out, there are soup kitchens and there are shelters that you may not have to stay there, but they'll offer food and various charities. Then again, if you do have bucks, well, maybe you won't be able to eat at the nice 5-star restaurant, the steakhouse there, but you'll be able to eat well enough, and believe me, to stay healthy and still get good food relatively inexpensively. Food is relatively inexpensive in this country today. The other thing you need is to feel clean, and that means that just basic hygiene, staying clean. We're trained that clean is good, and you feel more comfortable. You want to have clean, serviceable clothes. You want to have shelter, a place where you can go where you're safe from the elements and from animal and human problems, that might bother you. You want to have a safe place, and that's your basic lowest common denominator. It's all uphill from there. So when these advertisers are bombarding you, what really do you need? What does your life require, and how much of it is just more junk that you're going to throw out in a few years? I mean, every year it seems people are throwing out more and more garbage, and a lot of it's old stuff that they only had 2 or 3 years, but now, no, it's the newest thing we have to have. We don't need this. Or planned obsolescence. So to prevent yourself from an impulse buy, when you really do have a doubt as to whether something's worth buying, try what Audrey and I use, and we call it the 14-pound rule. And it started as a joke, but there's a very serious element to it. If something doesn't hit you with all the impact of a 14-pound maul on the bridge of the nose, don't buy it. Simple as that. If it doesn't really impact you, if it's not something you really need, or it doesn't make a great impression, walk away. And if you're uncertain, walk away. If it's really meant to be for you, if it's really the right thing, you can always come back tomorrow. Don't let them pull the hype. Oh, well, you've only got 3 days to buy. No, you don't. Remember, there's a lot of competition. You can always go elsewhere. So think carefully. Spend more on what you need. There's a lot of stuff you don't. They're out there. The greed is immense out there. They're all trying to get your money. You don't have to give it to them. Make sure that what you buy is something you really want to have, and it's something that's good for you. Not something that they just told you to buy, and because they were very convincing, you think you need it. Use that 14-pound rule. It can certainly save you from putting a big dent in your wallet or pocketbook. I've been using it for years, and it certainly helps. And this is Uncle Thor. Have a good one.